I never thought one night at Il Gabbiano would change my entire life. I was just a waitress trying to pay rent and finish my criminal psychology degree. But the moment I circled those 3 warnings on his bill, I knew there was no turning back. My name is Kira Johnson. I'm 23, tired most days, and good at pretending I'm not scared of anything. But that night, I was terrified. The jazz music floated soft through the restaurant, but every sound felt sharp and loud to me. My hands shook a little as I picked up the black pen and circled the 3 words that could get me killed. Gunman behind you. Deal gone wrong. Exit now. I wrote them using random words from the printed specials at the bottom of his bill. To anyone else, it looked normal, but to him it was a message, a warning I hoped he'd understand. He was the man people called the gentleman. His real name, I would learn later, was Gregory Weiss. But back then, he was only the quiet Mafia boss who sat in the corner booth every Thursday. He never raised his voice. He never showed emotion. His presence alone changed the entire room. Even the silverware clinked quieter when he dined. For 2 years I had served him water at exactly 58 degrees, bread with no olive oil. Wine poured 2 fingers from the rim. He never repeated a request. He never complained. He always left bills lined up perfectly straight, like he measured the edges with a ruler. Tonight he sat with his back to the wall, eyes on the entrance like always. Calm, controlled, untouchable, until the stranger walked in. I noticed him the second he stepped through the door. Not because he looked suspicious, but because he tried too hard not to look suspicious. His hand stayed in his jacket. His drink, Scotch neat, remained untouched. His eyes never met Gregory's, but somehow never left him either. Nobody else noticed. But I did. It was the same instinct that helped me survive double shifts and long nights. Noticing the details people ignore. The weight in his pocket. His stiff posture. The way he inhaled sharply every time Gregory moved. A man doesn't sit like that unless he's planning something. When I approached Gregory with the bill, for the first time in 2 years, I let our fingers touch. A tiny brush, just enough to make sure he looked at the words I circled. He lifted the paper, his cold gray eyes flicked to mine. No panic, no surprise, only the slightest tightening of his jaw. Then he set his empty glass on top of the circles. One soft tap with his index finger. Message received. He stood up as if nothing was wrong, smoothed his suit, straightened his cuff. Calm, casual, and walked toward the kitchen side exit. 4 seconds after he left, the stranger knocked over his bar stool and ran after him. The room shook with the crash. 2 men in dark suits, men I had never noticed before, stood up fast. Too fast to be anything except bodyguards. Then came the muffled pop from the back hallway. A single sound. Sharp, final. Glass shattered. Someone screamed. My manager rushed out of the kitchen, face pale but controlled. "We're closing early," he said. "Kitchen accident. Everyone go home." A lie, a practiced one. I finished my shift with shaking hands. I walked home alone through Savannah's humid night, every shadow feeling alive. Every street lamp felt like it spotlighted me. The Spanish moss hanging from the oak trees looked like dark shapes reaching for me. That night, I slept with a kitchen knife under my pillow, my back pressed to the wall, every tiny sound snapping my eyes open. The next day, Il Gabbiano was closed with a sign that said, "Renovations." As if nothing violent had happened. As if no one had nearly died. No police came. No questions. No news. It was as if the entire thing had been erased. Except from my mind. For 2 days, I barely slept. Every time I walked outside, I felt watched. Every time a car slowed near me, my heart almost stopped. My roommate thought I was stressed about finals. I didn't correct her. Then Saturday morning, the restaurant called. "We reopened tonight. Staff required." My stomach dropped. I went to work feeling like I was walking back into a lion's den. My hands shook as I tied my apron. My breathing stayed uneven no matter how hard I tried to steady it. Then I saw it, a cream-colored envelope inside my locker, my name written in perfect handwriting. Inside was a small black box and a note. You saw what others missed. For protection when needed. The box held a silver keychain with a single engraved letter. G. Heavy, cold, important. I didn't know what it meant, but deep down I knew one thing. The gentleman wasn't done with me, and neither were the people who wanted him dead. When he walked back into the restaurant that night, alive, calm, immaculate, our eyes met for the second time in 3 years. Something electric passed between us. Danger. Understanding. Recognition. My life was no longer normal. And it was never going to be again. The moment Gregory walked into El Gabbiano that night, the air changed. Conversations softened. Forks stopped halfway to mouths. Even the lights seemed to steady themselves, afraid to flicker in front of him. I felt it too. A strange heat rushed through me. A mix of fear and something I didn't want to name. He sat in his usual corner booth back to the wall, eyes calm as ever. But I noticed the differences. The extra bodyguards positioned around the room, the way one scanned the exits every 30 seconds, the faint bruise near Gregory's collar, barely visible unless you were standing right in front of him. He survived Thursday night. But not untouched. My hands almost dropped the menus as I walked to his table. I tried to act normal, but my heartbeat made my breath shake. When I placed the water down, his gaze lifted to mine. A slow, unreadable look that sent a shiver down my spine. "You're back," I said before I could stop myself. "I never left permanently," he answered, his voice smooth, low, steady. "And neither did you." I swallowed. "I didn't know if you made it." A shadow of a smile touched his lips. "You warned me. That is why I'm here." My fingers tightened around my notepad. I didn't want gratitude. I didn't want debt. I didn't want to be tied to a man like him. But fear and something else, a dangerous curiosity, pulled me into his orbit. When I stepped away from his table, his voice followed me softly. "Kira." I stopped. His voice saying my name felt different, heavy, personal. "You never asked for my name," he said. "Gregory Weiss." Hearing it felt like someone closing a door behind me, one that locked automatically. I nodded slowly. "I didn't need to know who you were." "Now you do," he said, "since you saved my life." I didn't answer. I couldn't. Later, as I polished glasses behind the bar, one of his bodyguards passed by me. He didn't touch me, didn't speak, but he nodded once. A small sign of respect. And warning. It meant they were watching me. It meant other people were too. During my break, I checked my locker again. The black keychain sat heavy in my apron pocket, the letter G catching the faint overhead light. I didn't even know what it opened. A door? A safe? A car? Or maybe it didn't open anything. Maybe it was a symbol. A claim. When I returned to the dining room, Gregory motioned me over. "Do you recommend the veal scallopini?" he asked. His tone was casual, but his eyes were searching my face for something deeper. "It depends," I replied. "Some find it too rich. Some appreciate the complexity." Quote. His smile was small, but real. "Then I'll trust your judgment." Every word between us felt like a hidden conversation, like we were both speaking in 2 languages at once. As I served his dinner, the atmosphere around his table shifted. His presence felt dangerous before. Now it felt personal. His eyes followed my movements, not in a controlling way, but like he was trying to understand the girl who dared to save him. When I brought his espresso, he finally spoke the words I'd been avoiding. The hitman was not working alone. My heart dropped. "The Cardoso family sent him," Gregory continued. "They don't tolerate failed operations." "And now they know I warned you," I whispered. "Yes," he said softly. "They do." Fear iced my blood. My hands tightened on the tray. "What happens to me now?" I asked. Gregory studied me carefully, like he was choosing each word. "You stay alert," he said. "You carry the keychain I gave you. And you call the number hidden inside it if you ever feel followed." "How do you know I haven't already been followed?" I asked. He leaned back, calm, collected. the perfect opposite of my panic. "If they wanted you dead, Miss Johnson, you wouldn't be here tonight," he said. "They're watching, evaluating." I felt sick. Why? Why me? "Because you stepped into a storm you shouldn't have survived." I tried to breathe, but my chest felt tight. "I didn't ask for any of this," I said. "No," he replied gently. "But you chose it the moment you circled those words." When he stood up to leave, his bodyguards moved instantly, forming a wall around him. But he paused, looking back at me. "One more thing, Kira." I met his eyes. "You are not invisible anymore. Not to me, not to them." My throat tightened. "Is that supposed to make me feel safe?" His answer was soft. "No, it's meant to prepare you." He walked out into the warm Savannah night, leaving me standing by the espresso machine with my heart pounding and my whole world tilting under my feet. That night, when I walked home, the streets felt different. Too quiet, too open. I gripped the silver keychain so hard it left marks on my palm. I wasn't just a waitress anymore. I was a witness. I was a loose thread in something violent and powerful. And someone out there was deciding what to do with me. The week after Gregory returned to the restaurant felt unreal. I went to class, I took notes, I studied for finals, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw the hitman's stillness at the bar. I saw Gregory's cold gray stare when he read my warning. I saw the black SUVs that sometimes appeared near my apartment, too far away to identify, but close enough to feel like shadows with engines. By Thursday night, my nerves were stretched thin. Il Gabbiano buzzed with its usual crowd of wealthy locals, tourists, and business dinners. But to me, everything felt sharper, louder, too bright. Every door opening made me jump. Every stranger's hand moving toward their pocket made my pulse spike. And somehow, Gregory felt it the moment he stepped inside. His eyes scanned the room, then found mine instantly. I tried to look away, but I couldn't. Something in his gaze held me still. He didn't smile. He didn't nod. He simply watched me with this unsettling mix of calculation and something warmer, something I didn't want to understand. When I brought him his drink, he looked at me the way someone reads a classified file. "You're not sleeping," he said quietly. I froze. "How would you know that?" His gaze lowered to the faint shadows under my eyes. "Because you're alert in all the ways someone becomes after a threat. You check exits. You watch reflections. You study people's hands. Someone taught you fear this week." "I taught myself," I replied, trying to sound braver than I felt. His voice softened. "You shouldn't have to." Before I could answer, my manager called me to the back to unload a shipment. When I returned to the dining room, one of Gregory's bodyguards stood near the kitchen door, looking at me with careful attention. Not hostile, not friendly, watchful. It made my skin prickle. Later, on my break, I opened my locker. Another envelope lay inside. Same cream-colored paper. Same perfect handwriting. No name. Inside was a small black leather portfolio, and under it, a letter. "Your tuition for next semester. A fully legitimate scholarship. No trace to me. No cost to you. Your talent should not be limited by your income." My stomach twisted. I didn't want anything from him. I didn't want to owe a mafia boss my education. I marched straight to his table. "I can't accept this," I said quietly, holding the portfolio tight against my chest. Gregory looked up, unbothered. "It's not a gift. Consider it an investment in someone who sees what others miss." "I don't want to be an asset in your world," I whispered fiercely. "Too late," he replied simply. "You already are." My heart dropped. "I'm studying criminal justice. I'm supposed to put people like you in prison." His expression didn't change. "Then do well in your classes. We both benefit from your intelligence." I hated the way my pulse reacted to his calm confidence. I hated how easily he saw through me. I hated that part of me felt seen, protected, wanted. He studied my face quietly. "You saved my life. I repay debts completely." "What do you expect from me?" I asked. "Right now?" "Nothing except caution," he said. "Later, perhaps your insight. Your mind works in ways useful to me. The idea of working for him made my chest tighten with fear. And something else. After closing, the Savannah night air wrapped around me like warm fog as I walked home. Street lamps flickered. Cars crawled by too slowly. The oak trees with hanging Spanish moss cast long, reaching shadows. Halfway home, I felt it, that prickle at the back of my neck. Someone watching. I turned casually and spotted a dark sedan a block behind me. Same one I'd seen outside the restaurant last week. Same shape, same speed, same quiet engine. My heart thudded. I quickened my pace. The car didn't speed up, but it didn't fall away either. Just followed. Silent. Intentional. My fingers dug into the silver keychain in my pocket. I wasn't sure if it was Gregory's people or Cardoso's, and that terrified me. When I reached my building, the sedan slowed, waited, then drove off. No plates I could memorize. No faces I could describe, just a ghost with headlights. I ran up to my apartment, locked the door, and pressed my forehead against it, shaking. Later that night, I opened the silver keychain, twisting it gently like I had done a dozen times out of anxiety. This time, it clicked. A hidden compartment slid open. Inside was a small strip of metal with a number etched into it. No name, no area code, no instructions. Just a lifeline I didn't know if I should ever use. The next morning, Detective Walsh knocked on my apartment door. He leaned against the hallway wall like he had all the time in the world. His eyes studied me the way Gregory's did, but colder, more predatory. "Just checking in," he said. "You work at Il Gabbiano. Interesting place, interesting company, interesting patterns." "I just serve food," I replied carefully. "Sure you do," he said. "What's your relationship with Gregory Weiss?" The sound of his name in a detective's mouth made my stomach flip. "No relationship," I answered. "He's a customer." Walsh's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Be careful, Miss Johnson. People close to Weiss tend to disappear or change sides." Quote. He walked away slowly, leaving me in the doorway with my heart pounding. I wasn't safe anywhere, not with the Cardosos, not with the police, not even with Gregory. But the scariest part was realizing something I hadn't wanted to admit. A piece of me felt safer when he was near. By the time Thursday came again, my nerves were a live wire. I spent the whole day feeling like something was coming, something I couldn't stop. My professors talked, but I barely heard them. My roommate asked if I was okay, but I couldn't tell her the truth. I couldn't tell anyone. That evening, when I arrived at Il Gabbiano, my manager pulled me aside with an expression I had never seen on him before. Fear. Real fear. "Mr. Weiss requested a private dinner tonight," he said quietly. "At his residence. He asked for you only." My heart stopped. Not skipped. Stopped. "I'm a waitress," I whispered. "I don't serve at homes." "You do tonight," he said. Declining is not advised. The drive to Gregory's property felt like entering another life. His driver didn't speak. The black sedan rolled down long, winding roads lined with tall oaks, Spanish moss hanging like gray curtains. His estate appeared at the end of a private lane, historic, elegant, and terrifying in its quiet beauty. It didn't look like a mafia boss's home. It looked like a place where someone powerful hid from the world. Gregory waited for me on the front veranda, not in a suit, but in a crisp white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He looked more human like that. More dangerous, too. "Thank you for coming," he said, his voice low and warm. "I needed privacy to speak with you." The foyer was filled with warm light, tall ceilings, and antique furniture. But behind the beauty, I could feel it. Security cameras hidden in molding, silent guards positioned out of sight, the hum of something controlled and dangerous. I finally asked the question that had been clawing inside me for days. "Why am I here, Gregory?" His eyes softened. "Because Detective Walsh is asking too many questions about you, and because the Cardoso family has identified you." Ice rushed through my body. "Identified me for what?" I asked, even though I already knew. "For warning me," he said plainly. "They see you as responsible for their failure." My breath thinned. The keychain in my pocket felt hot, like it was burning through the fabric. "I didn't know what else to do," I whispered. "And that," Gregory said, "is why I owe you everything." A hand motion from him brought a server into the room to set 2 places at the dining table. 2 places. Not 1 place for a host and 1 separate station for a waitress. I wasn't here to serve. I was here to talk. I sat across from him, feeling more exposed than I ever had in my life. "You gave me a scholarship," I said, my voice shaking. "Why?" "Because you're brilliant," he answered instantly, "and because you're wasted carrying trays." "That sounds like recruitment," I said. He studied me silently, like he was choosing between honesty and caution. "It can be," he said, "but not tonight." Thunder rolled outside. Rain hit the windows in sheets. Then his security chief entered the room fast but controlled. "Sir, we have movement. 3 vehicles approaching the south entrance." Gregory stood immediately. His whole body shifted from gentle warmth to sharp precision, like a blade being drawn. "Cardoso?" he asked. "Yes." My breath caught. He turned to me, eyes steady. "Stay behind me," he said. "No," I whispered. "I won't hide while people die because of me." He stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. Then, shockingly, something like pride flickered across his face. He opened a panel in the wall, revealing a full security station. Screens showing every angle of the property. Men in tactical gear were already moving through the trees. 6. "No, 8. They're not coming to threaten," Gregory said quietly. "They're coming to end things." His guard asked, "Orders, sir?" Gregory looked at me. Really looked at me. "Activate police diversion and prepare extraction." "What does that mean?" I asked, heart pounding. "It means you're leaving with me." The house turned into controlled chaos. Guards moved through halls. Alarms stayed silent but active. Gregory grabbed a secured phone and handed it to me. "Hold this." We moved through a hidden hallway behind a bookshelf and descended narrow stairs until we reached a tunnel system. My breath shook. Gregory stayed close, guiding me through the dark. "You saved me once," he said. "Tonight, allow me to return the favor." We emerged into a boathouse. An engine was already running. Rain poured in from the open river. "Is this really happening?" I whispered. "Yes," he said. "And it will happen again if you don't stay under protection." We boarded the boat. The engine roared and the house grew smaller behind us. Past the rain and the thunder, past the glowing skyline of Savannah, past every normal part of my life. "What happens now?" I asked. Gregory turned toward me, rain dripping from his hair, eyes filled with something intense and unguarded. "Now," he said, "you stop pretending you can return to the life you had before." The boat glided into calmer water as dawn broke over the horizon. Golden light hit the river surface. "You stepped into my world the moment you warned me," he said softly. "And after tonight, whether you want it or not, I can't let you walk out of it alone." My chest tightened with fear, and something far more dangerous, something warm, something I didn't want to name. Because in the middle of violence, survival, and danger, I felt myself falling, not into fear, but into him,